Okay, what if I told you that every single limit you live by is a complete and utter lie? Today, we are diving into a book that is less of a story and more of a manual for completely rewiring your brain. We're talking about David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me, a book designed to make you seriously question every ounce of potential you think you have.
Right out of the gate, Goggins hits you with this question. And, it's not just some philosophical thought exercise. No, it's a direct challenge to you, because he's convinced that most of us are walking around living a lie, totally comfortable with what we think we can do. But what if our real potential is so much bigger, it's not even on the same planet?
Take a good look at this number, 40%. According to David Goggins, this is the point where almost all of us stop, not because our bodies give out, but because our minds tell us to quit. It's a shocking number, maybe even a little insulting, but it is the absolute foundation of his entire philosophy.
So just let that sink in. What if that's actually true? What if you, right now, in your job, in your workouts, in your life, are only using a fraction of what you're truly capable of? Goggins says this isn't some rare thing, it's our default setting as human beings. And he has a name for it.
This brings us right to the first monster concept in the book, the 40% rule. And trust me, this isn't just some catchy slogan. Goggins believes it's a fundamental law of the human mind that you absolutely must break if you want to do anything truly extraordinary.
The rule itself is so simple, but it's incredibly profound. That little voice inside your head that starts whispering or, screaming at you to stop, to quit, to just take it easy, Goggins says that voice kicks in when you've only used up about 40% of your actual capacity. Our brains, he argues, are not designed for growth. They're wired for comfort and survival. And all that motivation stuff, it's temporary. Real, deep, lasting change only happens when you smash through that 40% wall over and over and over again. And this quote right here is exactly why that 40% barrier is so tough to break. We tell ourselves little lies. Oh, I'm giving it my all. I've hit my limit. But Goggins just cuts right through that with, denial is the ultimate comfort zone. We lie to ourselves so we can stay comfortable. And to really understand how he figured this out, man, you have to understand the hell he came from. Yeah, Goggins' philosophy, it wasn't born in a classroom or from reading some self-help books. It was literally forged in a fire of unbelievable pain and suffering. To really get his methods, you have to get his story. I mean, just look at this. This wasn't just a tough childhood. This was a war zone. We're talking horrific abuse from his own father, escaping into crushing poverty, dealing with the ugliest racism you could imagine, and even witnessing a murder. Most people would be completely and understandably broken by even one of these things. But for Goggins, this nightmare of a past would become the very bedrock of his strength. And this is the pivot. This is the moment everything changes. Instead of letting his past turn him into a lifelong victim, Goggins made a conscious choice. He decided to take every single traumatic, negative, soul-crushing experience and use it as fuel. All of it, the pain, the fear, the hate, it all became the rocket fuel for his complete reinvention. But, okay, how do you actually do that? How do you start? Well, for Goggins, it all began with a simple, powerful tool he created for himself at his absolute lowest point, the accountability mirror. This was his first real step toward taking 100% ownership of his life. So I want you to picture this. Goggins is almost 300 pounds. He's working a dead-end job spraying for cockroaches every night, and he's just haunted by all his past failures. Then one day, he sees a documentary about the Navy SEALs, and something just clicks. He decides that's what he's going to do. The only problem? He's physically and mentally a complete wreck. And that brutal reality forced him to face himself in a way he never had before. The accountability mirror is not about looking at yourself and saying positive affirmations. It's the exact opposite. It's about standing in front of your own reflection and telling yourself the raw, ugly, unfiltered truth. No excuses, no sugarcoating. His whole point is you have to own every single one of your weaknesses before you have any chance of fixing them. And he actually breaks it down into these simple yet brutal steps. First, you just face yourself. Look at the reality in the mirror. Then, you write it all down. Every excuse, every fear, every hard truth you've been dodging. And finally, you own it. You accept those flaws not as who you are forever, but as the raw material you have to start working with. It's a tool designed to rip you out of denial and drop you right into action. So, once you've taken that brutal,
honest accountability, the real work starts. This next part is all about building what Goggins calls an armored mind. Basically, making yourself mentally bulletproof by intentionally going through hard stuff, just like in the Navy SEAL training he endured. The core idea here is what he calls callousing the mind. Think about it. If you lift heavy weights, your hands get tough. They get calluses. Goggins says your mind works the exact same way. You have to intentionally seek out discomfort and pain to build up your mind's tolerance for suffering. You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Now that sounds great in theory, right? Just push through the pain. But when you are actually in the middle of Hell Week, or mile 80 of an ultramarathon, your brain is screaming at you to just quit. So Goggins knew he needed another tool, something he could pull out when he was right on the edge of breaking. And he calls it the cookie jar. This is your own personal mental trophy case. It's a list you keep in your head of every single challenge you've ever overcome, every success you've ever had. So when you feel like you've got nothing left in the tank, you mentally reach into the cookie jar, pull out a memory of a past win, and remind yourself that you've been through hell before and you made it. And let me tell you, Goggins' cookie jar is absolutely stacked. We're talking surviving Hell Week twice in 1 year, losing over 100 pounds in just a few months, overcoming a learning disability to pass his exams, running over 100 miles. Every single one of these past victories becomes proof, undeniable proof, that he can handle whatever is in front of him right now. Ultimately, callousing your mind and using the cookie jar, it's all about one thing: winning the war inside your own head. Goggins is realistic. He says doubt is always going to be there, riding shotgun, but you can never, ever let it grab the steering wheel. These tools are how you keep doubt in its place. And this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful lesson from Goggins, how he thinks about failure. See, most of us run from failure. Goggins doesn't just accept it, he actively uses it as a weapon for growth. I mean, just look at his attempt to break the world record for pull-ups. He didn't just fail once, he failed spectacularly, on live television, twice. Most people would have just quit in embarrassment, but not him. He studied each failure, tweaked his approach, and came back to absolutely shatter the record on his third try. So how'd he do it? He used a military technique called an after-action report, or AAR. After any failure, big or small, he does a complete breakdown. He writes down everything that went right, everything that went wrong, and exactly what he'll do better next time. He studies his failures like a scientist, so he can learn from them instead of just repeating them. And this quote right here, this just perfectly captures the entire spirit of the book. It's not about what you think you deserve or what you hope for. It's about what you are willing to earn through grit, through pain, and through hard work. And that's where he leaves us, with the same 2 words he asks himself every single day. What if? What if you really are capable of so much more? What if all your pain could actually become your greatest strength? What if every failure is just setting you up for your biggest win? That's the challenge of Can't Hurt Me. If this breakdown lit a fire in you, you owe it to yourself to read the full book. We've put the link right down in the description for you. And, of course, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into game-changing books like this one. Thanks for watching, and as Goggins would say, stay hard.